You know that feeling, that deep, soul-crushing exhaustion after a 12-hour day. All you want is one thing, one simple, small mercy. For me, it was my parking spot, the one I paid for, the one that was legally mine. And every single day, I'd come home to find it stolen by a man who thought the rules didn't apply to him. He laughed in my face when I asked politely, so I didn't ask again. I decided to make sure he could never park there again, permanently. If you know the sweet, satisfying taste of karma, if you love a story where a bully gets exactly what he deserves, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because we're about to dive into a masterclass in petty, beautiful, and absolutely justified revenge. This is a story for everyone who's ever been pushed too far. Let's get into it. My world is a small, slightly crumbling apartment complex. It's not much, but it's mine. And in the concrete jungle, parking is a currency more valuable than gold. We have a simple, sacred system. Numbered spots, one per unit. Mine is 4B. And it's beautiful, not because it's fancy, but because it's right there, right in front of my door. After a long day, that 10-foot walk is everything. Enter Brad. Brad was in his mid-40s, and his entire personality was a giant, shiny, lifted truck. The kind of vehicle that seems to compensate for, well, everything. It was loud, it was obnoxious, and it was always where it was not supposed to be.
At first, it was an occasional nuisance. I'd come home on a Tuesday, and there it'd be, this metallic beast squatting in my space. I'd grumble, park a block away on the crowded street, and lug my groceries through the rain. Annoying, but maybe he had visitors. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. A mistake. The occasional nuisance became a habit. Then the habit became entitlement. Soon it was every single day. I'd turn into the lot, my shoulders already relaxing at the thought of being home, only to seize up again. My spot, his truck. The pattern was a punch to the gut. I could feel the frustration boiling in my blood. My knuckles would go white on the steering wheel. I'd have to circle the block again and again. My after-work peace replaced with a simmering rage. Street parking was a myth. It was always full. Every minute spent searching was a minute of my life stolen by this man's sheer audacity. I had to try the civil approach. I marched up to his door, my heart thumping, not from fear, but from that specific anger you feel when you know you're in the right. I knocked. He answered with a smirk. "Hey, neighbor." "Hey, Brad. Look, man, that's my assigned spot. You're in 3C. Your spot is on the other side of the building." He didn't even blink. He just let out this short, dismissive laugh. It wasn't a happy sound. It was a weapon. "Relax, dude. There's plenty of room out on the street. My truck's a pain to maneuver over there." He said it like it was my problem, like my convenience was a minor obstacle in the grand saga of his life. The disrespect was breathtaking. I was being treated as a minor inconvenience in my own home.
I went to the landlord. His response? A tired sigh over the phone. "I don't have time for this playground squabble. Work it out between yourselves." The system had failed. The authority figure had abdicated. I was on my own. That was the turning point. The moment my anger crystallized into something colder, sharper. Purpose. Brad thought he was dealing with the pushover. He had no idea he'd just poked a sleeping bear with a PhD in malicious compliance. The laughter echoing in my head was my fuel. Work it out ourselves. Okay, we would. I became a scholar of the parking lot, a silent, patient observer. Every time his truck was in my spot, I didn't just get angry, I got evidence. Click, a photo with a timestamp. Click, A video of me slowly panning across the completely full guest parking area. Click. A close-up of his license plate, smug in my space. I compiled a folder on my phone that was a perfect, irrefutable diary of his arrogance. This wasn't just emotion anymore, it was a case. And our complex had a solution. Signs everywhere, faded but legally binding. Unauthorized vehicles will be towed at owner's expense. All they needed was permission from a resident and proof. The day came. I came home. Spot 4B, occupied. A familiar wave of heat rushed up my neck, but this time I smiled. I didn't knock. I didn't sigh. I parked on the street, walked inside, went to my window, and called the number on the sign. My voice was calm, pleasant. "Hi, yes, there's an unauthorized vehicle in my assigned parking space, number 4B. I have photo evidence, and I am the leaseholder. Yes, please, send someone." 20 minutes later, the beautiful, grating sound of a heavy-duty tow truck echoed through the courtyard. I watched, sipping a coffee, as they efficiently hooked up Brad's precious second most important possession. The wheels lifted, and it was gone. The front door of his apartment slammed open. Brad stood there, frozen, his face a perfect mosaic of confusion that rapidly melted into sheer, unadulterated panic. He looked around, wild-eyed, as if his truck might just be hiding behind a tree, and then he saw the empty space. The reality hit him. The sound he made? It was a primal scream of frustration, a guttural "No!" that was pure music. Chef's kiss. But arrogance is a resilient weed. The next day, I couldn't believe it. There he was, again. But this time, he'd placed a handwritten note on his dashboard. It read, "Don't tow. I'm a resident." I actually laughed out loud. The audacity, the sheer, unmitigated gall. Did he think the towing company was run by kindergartners? This wasn't a hall pass. It was a confession. My second call was even shorter. "Hi, it's me again from 4B, same truck. He's put a note on it trying to pretend he lives here. I have my lease and photo ID ready if you need verification." They didn't. The truck disappeared again. The third time was pure poetry. He did it again, probably thinking persistence was the key. This time, when I called, I just gave the license plate number. The dispatcher cut me off. "The black F-150? Yeah, we know it. We've got a truck in your area now. 5 minutes." They didn't even need to confirm the address. Brad had made himself a legend. The tow truck arrived like a homing missile. Hook, lift, gone. It was a well-practiced ballet of consequences. 3 tows in 1 week. I did the math later. Over $900 in fees, not to mention the humiliation, the Uber rides to the impound lot on the outskirts of town. The change was immediate and absolute. My spot, for the first time in months, was perpetually, gloriously empty. Brad would pull in, glance at my spot, and a visible shudder would go through him. He'd slink away to his own designated spot, a defeated man. The cherry on top? A week later, I saw him loading boxes into his now very obedient truck. He wouldn't look in my direction. He was moving out. The cost of his arrogance was not just financial. It was the total loss of his peace, his dignity, and eventually his home. He wanted my parking spot. Instead, he lost his truck, his money, and his apartment. Some people think the high road is the only road. But sometimes, when someone keeps pushing you off the road, you have to build a toll booth. This wasn't just about a parking spot. It was about respect. It was about the fundamental understanding that you can't just take what isn't yours. Brad learned that lesson the hard way. And me? I enjoyed the most peaceful parking you can imagine. So, what do you think? Was this justice served? Have you ever had to deal with the neighbor from hell? Let me know your stories in the comments below. I'll read them all. If you enjoyed this delicious dose of karma, do the algorithm a favor and hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with someone who appreciates a well-executed plan. Until next time, park responsibly.